Hello everyone, all the participants who have joined today. I welcome each one of you all to our fourth session on Gujarat Basic RERA registration course. And in today's topic, we'll be discussing on the compliance, pre-scrutiny form, and of course, certain queries and observation which normally come during the registration process related to Gujarat RERA. And we have with us advocate as well as CS Lokesh Shah, all the way from Gujarat. And just to give you a brief, the kind of faculty we have today. He is a member of the Company Secretary of India. He is also an advocate and has been practicing into RERA right from his inception and has an experience of more than 8 years. Uh, of course, he has registered and managed more than 150 real estate project and has dealt with more than 100 complaints in the Gujarat RERA and Appellate Tribunal. So, of course, he has also delivered lectures in the Institute of Chartered Accountants as well as various study circles across the ICI and Gujarat also. Thank you so much, firstly, Mr. Lokesh sir, to come and grace the occasion. And I know ki all the participants who are there, and of course, this lecture will be there online also. So many people online also will be benefited from this session today. So thank you so much for coming today. And of course, during this session, if you all have any kind of queries or any kind of doubts, you can definitely ask us in the chat. I'll be more than happy to ask those questions to Mr. Lokesh sir. Lokesh sir, before we begin, if you can, give a brief about today's topic before we dive into all the whatever you have to show to us. If you can just give a brief about this topic about what the pre-scrutiny form, what are the things we need to ensure before registration, what are things to keep in mind before registering. Can you just give a brief about that part?
Thanks for the short and nice intro. And first of all, thank you for having me here. It's always a pleasure to connect with the professor and the team and being connected since 2017. So it's always a pleasure to be here. So what I had planned today is I gone through the previous two sessions also on YouTube. So what I'm having an idea is that okay, people know how the registration process works here with the portal. So I tried to cover out the what the pre-registration we need to keep in mind, and I have not been able to prepare an PPT because it was on a shorter notice. But I have a list of a checklist where I have listed out each document which needs to be gathered before filing the application, and in each document what needs to be checked upon or what can be done upon that we on particular document one by one we will going through the same.
Of course, the lot of many CAs who are this participant today, they are new fresher CAs also. They are just starting into the era. Of course, they are aware of the whole section which is there that we had covered in the early sessions. But they would request you to go a little bit slower on this part, and then if in case like you mentioned, we'll be covering all the aspects which you have shared. So over to you, sir.
Sure, thank you. First of all, what happens is each and every state has their own website and it works in its own way. So basically in Gujarat, what has happened is last before the 6 to 8 months, we got a new portal, completely new website, RERA 2.0. And then after the registration process has been divided into two parts. First, we need to have the registration of particular entity like company or a partnership firm. We have to register first that with the Gujarat RERA as a user. And once you get the registration as a user, after you receive the email ID on your email ID, the login ID and password of particularly of being a user, in that you need to make an application to register your project or register your agent or your complaint and everything. So first thing is here we need to have the registration of a user or an entity for which project needs to be registered, and we need to have the ID password of the same, and then we need to file the application for the project registration from that login. Second, after that you done this login concept and everything, here while making an application to register your user, you need to have the separate email ID and mobile number of each partners, each directors, or let's say if you are going for LLP, then each designated partners, and each partners and designated partners and directors details you have to submit along with your master data, company master data or a registered partnership form and everything, and then you get the same. And here majority of the projects are done by the structure of the partnership form and registration of firm with the ROF, what we call as an ROF. is compulsory.
Okay.
So unless and until you get the ROF, you will not be able to register your a promoter form as a user. So as soon as we form the partnership form for any project, we need to get the same register with the ROF. Because many times what happens that the person who's forming that partnership form is a completely different person who don't know that RERA needs it compulsory, and as it is not compulsory to register with the ROF, many a time when it comes for RERA registration, we come to know that ROF is not there, and then it takes more than 15 to 30 days again to do that process. So it can save your time.
This ROF registration that will be normally for a new developer who is getting appointed, or it will be for any existing also?
It is compulsory for every developer form.
Okay.
So that's what happens is that kid, I have formed a new partnership firm and I am now registering or proposing to register my project. Then I need to have that. But even though that my old partner projects are running or I'm already registered before when this RF was not asked upon, and now I'm applying for any registration, then at the time of registration, you will receive a query that you need to provide this document and need to complete your user registration. So sooner or later, you will need that RF compulsorily. Apart from that, once you get that user registration done, second thing is you compulsorily need a unique email ID and mobile number. Like once for let's say I'm partner in multiple firms. Now for ABC developers, I have registered my particular email ID and I got the OTP and get the registration. Now if I'm applying another project through another firm where we are the same partners, but same mobile number or same email ID will not be accepted by the system. You will need unique email ID and unique mobile number every time when you are going to system for different projects. And once that email ID and mobile number is given and OTP is received, then only the whole process starts from there.
Okay, so a new mobile number is always required for any. So if suppose one promoter has 10 projects, for every 10 projects they'll be requiring new mobile number.
So what happens is for different firms, you will have to give that. While applying for a user registration, first you will be entering the email ID and mobile number for particular that firm. Then after that, when you are entering the partners or directors detail in that, at that times the old mobile number and email ID can be given for the particular user. But for that entity, every entity you will need a separate mobile number and email ID.
Understood. Okay.
So many times what happens is that practically there are many partnership firms or entities where female members are partners and they are not having any access to email ID and mobile numbers are not shared and such kind of stuff. Then practically we need to by ourselves have to make new Gmail IDs and have to access that and need to enter the OTPs and that becomes more tedious task than thought upon.
Yeah.
Apart from that, one more thing which is possible here, I don't know whether it is allowed into the Maharera or not. But here in certain times, if lands are owned by in individual names and you don't want to transfer it to any entity because that will again lead to payment of a stamp duty, which is almost like 6 to 7% here.
Yes.
Which becomes a huge amount.
Yes.
So if you want to obtain the RERA number in, let's say a particular land is in the name of Mr. A and Mr. B, and if you want to have the project executed in the same joint names and you want to have the RERA number jointly in the name of Mr. A and B, then also it is possible.
Okay.
Although it is debatable that how we will manage the income tax and GST in that scenario, because in that you cannot have a GST number jointly.
Yeah.
So how you will manage the billing and everything?
So that will be an internal process which will be there, right?
Huh?
Sorry, that will be an internal thing which will be there between both of them, right?
Yeah, but what will happen is that every time the transaction will happen, a single PAN number will get hit.
Yeah.
So now what will happen is in a bank transactions, every time income and expense, a single PAN number is getting hit. So that can have another repercussions from the IT and GST sides.
Okay.
But yeah, in the projects where there are plotting schemes, and and lands are in a joint names, then it becomes possible, because in many time what happens is in a plotting schemes they are advised to like waive of not to sell any units unless and until the project gets completed, so that GST implications are not there.
Avoided, yeah.
That can be planned upon. I don't know in Maharashtra and everywhere this RERA numbers are given in the individual joint names or not.
In Maharashtra, it is related to the project only. It is not there in the individual's name. It is for each project will be different number only.
Now, it is in the different name for each project, but what happens is let's say I am not making an ABC developers a partnership firm.
Okay.
I am owning land in the name of Mr. A and Mr. B jointly, 50-50% sharing. Now I am putting up a plotting scheme. I want to develop that scheme in the name ABC developers. Then I need to either have a joint development agreement
Yes.
or a rent sale deed in that ABC developers firm's name.
Yes.
Where we both only are the partners. So ultimately stamp duty will be borne by us only, and that
Yes.
amount is coming to lakhs and crores.
Yes.
So instead of getting the RERA done in the ABC developers or transferring the land in the ABC
Okay.
developers, we obtain RERA registration in Mr. A and Mr. B's joint name itself.
Okay, like that. Okay, okay. Supposingly in Maharashtra, it's a little bit different scenario only. If supposing there's a landowner and a developer, and again there's a JDA which is there. A JDA has to be created,
That
and
is a different story. But let's say I own a particular land in my and my wife's name, and the stamp duty of transferring the same to other firm is coming a higher amount, and where developers are also me and my partner, my wife is only the partner. Then why I would incur that stamp duty?
so then in that name they do that only. Then in Maharashtra also the same practice is there
Okay.
to avoid stamp duty and everything, of course.
After having that user registration and this planning of whether to go through the particular entity or it is viable to go through individually, because in certain cases we have seen that in outskirts where these plotting schemes are done, the stamp duty amounts comes too huge. And at that time, this kind of thing can be planned upon. Apart from that, these are the basic two things which can be compulsorily to have before even starting to have the thought upon the RERA, because when you frame the partnership firm, get it with the register with the ROF and get your user creation done.
Understood.
So your time of 10-15 days of having the user creation as well as the ROF gets saved.
Sir, one more thing, like I don't know where does this aspect come, the bank account details.
Yes.
Like over there also, like in Maharashtra, we have to open 3 bank separate accounts. Over
Yes.
there also it's the same thing.
Same process.
Okay.
Yeah, I have covered that one point on that too. That how here the bank name should be in this way, and that now even Gujarat RERA has not even allowed the word RERA escrow account also in the RERA 70% accounts.
Okay.
Compulsorily has to be RERA retention account or a RERA account, but no usage of escrow account. Earlier they used to allow, but now even in project finance cases, what happens that banks used to write the name RERA escrow account, RERA collection account, RERA project finance account, and lot of stuff. So now they even stopped to allow that RERA escrow account word also.
Understood.
So even those projects which were already registered and having this name are now having been given the instructions to remove that name from to correct the names and remove the word escrow from them. I have a checklist of the documents. One by one we can discuss that. Till time or if anyone having query we can first discuss the queries and then can go to the documents.
No, I think so. The checklist will be better so that people will get an idea also.
So first, as we discussed, ROF, if you are partnership firm, then it's compulsory to have the ROF registration certificate. If you are a corporate or a LLP, then you need to have the company registration certificate or LLP registration certificate. And in case you are going for a JD, then you need to have the society also registered as the co-promoter, or a user creation of the societies also needs to be done, and the developer also needs to be done. And while making the application, you will be given a tab to select the whether landowner is a different than the developer. And if you select the yes, then it will give you the option to enter the PAN number of that landowner. And you just by entering the PAN number, it will fetch the data of the landowner or a co-promoter or of the society. Because as you already registered it as a user separately, you will be able to fetch the same from that. Second, all the partnership deed or LLP deeds or MOA, OA as applicable to the particular entity since the inceptions are required to be given upon. So from the incorporation to till the date of making application, whatever changes there are, you need to submit from the inception to end date till date. Then you have to select the authorized signatory and project head from all the directors or partners since you have submitted while having the user registration. Then audit report, director report, cash flow statements, and ITR for last 3 years. So if you are in a partnership firm, then audit report, director reports, cash flow, this will not be applicable to you. Same way, balance sheet, P&L, ITR only will need to be applied upon. Same if you are a company, then everything will be applicable to you. So whatever applicable to you for last 3 years, you have to upload it. And for the things which are not applicable to you, you need to specifically make a declaration on the letterhead of the promoter, get it signed and upload it in the respective tab. Just by if you upload just not applicable page converted into PDF, you will receive a query. You will have to upload it on the letterhead, giving the reasoning as to why it is not applicable. Like my company is incorporated just before a year, that's why for last 2 years it's not applicable to us. That's why whatever reason it is, let's say if I'm a partnership firm, hence cash flow, director report, and audit report is not applicable to us. That kind of whatever reasoning it is, you have to submit it along with the reasoning on the letterhead signed by the promoter. Color copy of the PAN card and of the entity that you will already be submitting while having the user creation. RERA bank account details. So as per the Gujarat RERA bank account guidelines, you compulsorily need to have the bank account's name containing the three words. One promoter name, second project name, third RERA account word in the same. So it's like ABC developers RERA account for ABC project or ABC developers ABC project RERA account. ABC developers ABC project RERA retention account. But escrow word is not allowed in the same. So you
Uh,
have
yeah,
yes.
Lokesh, sir, I want to ask one question in this. Sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
no.
if like in case of land sharing or in case of revenue sharing model, in that also, how does that bank account work? Can you just explain on that purpose also?
So in yet Maharashtra has that practice, but in Gujarat yet area sharing agreements are very few. But normally what happens is here the amount received from the members are taken into the developer's RERA account, and from that developer need to make the payment to the landowner or the co-promoter who is having the area sharing agreement.
Okay, okay.
That's how it is planned because it is not viable to ask the allottees to make the payment in two different names.
Yes.
And here what happens is here the developer maintains the RERA account. Here co-promoters or landowner does not maintain the separate RERA account for the project.
Okay, okay.
So here everything is collected by the developer, and then as per the terms in the development agreement, he need to make the payment to the landowner, and rest of the amount he can have in his current account and can utilize. So here, as said, RERA bank account. Here the mechanism is same: collection account, RERA 70% account and 30% current account, and the money deposited into the collection account first, and then goes to the 70% account and 30% account. Certain developers keeps the 100% account as a RERA account. They don't open the three separate accounts. Earlier that used to happen more. Now even banks are choosing to have that 100, 70, 30. And recently, before a month now, banks have also started to ask for the form 123 before having the withdrawal from the RERA account each time. So now while making every withdrawal, promoter need to give the copy of form 123 to bank while raising each request for the withdrawal. And even the net bankings and everything has been closed now. Earlier, they used to give the net banking for the RERA accounts, but now that has been closed upon. Then you need the approved commencement certificate that we in Gujarat we call the Raja Chitti of the project. So that's the development permission technically. Along with that, you also need the approved plans and the color copy of the joining certificate and part plan. Joining certificate means that area development plan along with the part plan for that particular project. So while uploading joining certificate, we need to see that if our project is on a particularly subplot, a particular plot has been divided into a particular part, like it we call a subplotting. So if project is on a subplot, Then along with that zoning certificate, I also need to upload the subplotting plan, which can show the particular area and margins on that plot, so that my plans are as per the GDCR norms approved by, and accordingly margins are there in the plans can be verified by the RERA authority. Need to upload all the NOCs obtained. So let's say non-agricultural order, NA order, fire opinion, environment NOC, airport NOC, railway NOC, whatever applicable to the project. So in Gujarat, like EC is applicable when 20,000 square meters or more built up area of the project. Then airport NOC is nearby to the airport areas, and fire opinion is compulsory across the every project now after 2-3 incidents happened here recently. So all the applicable NOCs needs to be uploaded. Here what happens is like you don't have an EC as of now, but you have applied for EC. Then by giving that application along with one supported affidavit that we have applied it and we will submit the same as soon as we receive the same, we can make an application to the RERA authority for registration. And based on that affidavit and everything, RERA number is granted upon. Land purchase deed along with the index 2 and Satbara. So here in Gujarat we call revenue record as a 712 records, in which the entry of the developer's name needs to be done upon after the land purchase agreement is done. And normally it takes 45 days after making an application to the revenue department. So we need to submit the either it's a land purchase agreement or it's a development agreement or it's a society redevelopment agreement. And along with that, we need to submit the revenue records of in the form of 712 and index 2. And in for the particularly joint development agreements, RERA has already issued a particular circular that every JD agreement should contain this. And if these terms are not there, then that JD agreement needs to be revised upon and corrected JD agreement needs to be submitted. So every JD agreement must specify the amount which needs to be paid to the landowner, timeline within which that amount needs to be paid upon, manner in which it needs to be paid upon. If there are multiple landowners, then proportion in which the amount needs to be paid to each landowner, and the amount should be paid before the project end date submitted to the RERA. So if I am having the project end date of 3 years or 4 years before the Gujarat RERA, then my land payment to the JD landowner as per JDA should be completed by that time, and terms accordingly that needs to be put upon in the JDA agreement. Land title report, title clearance certificate, and encumbrance certificate. So land title report in the name of the landowner is compulsorily. That's a 30 years of land history, and must be from the advocate having 10 years of experience. And how you can verify that advocate is having 10 years of experience or not? That along with the sign, we need to put a stamp of the advocate mentioning their sanad number. So their bar council number is automatically will be visible, and whether he is having 10 years experience or not can be verified by the RERA. And in encumbrance certificate, it is compulsory to have the name of the project in the same, name of the developer in the same, land's description in the same. And that encumbrance certificate should not be older than the 6 months from the date of application. Title report can be the older one, but encumbrance certificate should not be older than 6 months. Your title report is older one but not having any further transaction, then it will okay. But encumbrance certificate cannot be older than 6 months. Brochure of the current project. So we need to give the brochure along, draft brochure along with the application, which shall contain the layout plan, elevation, section plan, and all the specifications, developer's name, structure engineer and architect's name, site address, Google map, location, etc. And only amenities which are approved in the plans are allowed to be referred to in the brochure. Let's say your clubhouse or such facility you are claiming into the brochure but are not approved into the plans, then you will not be allowed to mention the same into the brochure. There are scenarios where into the RERA different brochures are submitted and at the site different brochures are circulated to the members. But in those cases, during the litigations, the brochures given to the members are considered. Pro forma of agreement for sale, sale deed and allotment letters. So RERA authority has prescribed already the draft of the model agreement for sale as it's prescribed into the central law itself. RERA authority, apart from that, has listed out certain clauses that should be compulsorily into that agreement for sale and sale deed. Like agreement for sale shall compulsorily mention the 5-year structured defect warranty clause, dispute resolution clause that dispute would be amicably settled, and if it is not settled amicably, it should be referred to the RERA only. Then in sale deed, it is compulsory to mention that after BU is received, all the future FSI rights and common area rights and common amenities shall waste into the society only. So promoter cannot have the future FSI rights or common area rights after the BU is received. So all that clauses are compulsorily required to be mentioned into that. If the clauses are not mentioned into the same, then again the authority will raise a query and you have to rectify the same. So what we can do is we can go to the website, download the latest agreement for sale and sale deed of any latest project which has been approved upon, and we can modify into the details of the projects accordingly to our project. So that will lead to the lesser queries or no queries and can faster the process of the registration. A standard Form B affidavit on a 300 rupees stamp paper in the Gujarat and along with the photograph and notary, which is already a close for 2LD affidavit prescribed under the Act. Form 1, 2, 3 as prescribed under the Gujarat RERA. So Form 1 is done by the architect, Form 2 by the engineer, and Form 3 by this CA. And along with Form 2, we also need to submit the quality assurance certificate in a Form 2A format. And everything here, architect, engineer, and CA certificate are online, OTP based digital signature. We don't need to now physically get the same done and upload it. And I think in the last session, faculty has covered the same, where how this Form 1, 2, 3 are generated. I think CA certificate of Gujarat RERA is almost like covers major part in the inventory details which are not covered by any other RERA's Form 3.
I think so. This Form 3 part we'll be covering in some early next session also in detail also.
Yeah. And while uploading the Form 3, we need to give the all the receipts of the FSI letter and FSI and plant pass and whatever expenses we have done till date to obtain the FSI and statutory expenses we have made to the government. We need to even upload the receipts and our working as to what are the estimates we have given under the each head and against which when the payments are made and receipts of the same. That also needs to be uploaded along with the CA certificate. Otherwise, RERA authority asks to provide the same and then they verifies the figure given by the CA into the incurred and paid also along with that receipts. Estimates are okay with, but even incurred and paid figures, for that we need to provide the receipts and RERA authority verifies the same also. So these are the basic documents and details which needs to be gathered upon. And after gathering the same, we need to make the data entry as you shown into the last session where Bhavesh sir I think had covered that whole online process as to what data where needs to be processed upon. And all that data first we need to gather from these documents. Apart from that, we need to, from these documents and details, while making an application for number of parkings, we have to upload a letter in the format bifurcating the number of open parking and number of covered parking and area of open parking and area of covered parking. And that numbers we also need to mention into the Form 3 while mentioning the parking details. And that letter needs to be signed by the promoter and engineer both. So that is the additional requirement recently started upon before 4 to 6 months. Earlier, we don't used to give that later. So these are the basic documents. However, extracting the data required from each document is the key point. Like on the from the plans and everything, like in a Gujarat carpet area table is mentioned in the plans. So for inventory, you can have the carpet area from that plan and should match, and RERA authority matches that carpet area with the plans. So we have to take the carpet area from the plans only, and your unit numbers should also match with the development permission you are uploading with. While uploading the architect certificate, we need to give the each activity start and end date. Sorry. So like for excavation, when it will start, when it will stop, it will be completed. Then for plain level work, when it will start, when it, that's how that chart we need to, in a form one format, you will see that that activity start date and end date for each block, each activity we need to submit. And even for common area work in the part B, also we need to mention the same. So that auto generates the Gantt chart as to how you are planning to have the project executed from time to time. Apart from that, just I have listed out certain points in an Excel sheet where I think I have covered major of the things.
But sir, before of course, we'll go to the Excel part also. But just as a professional, because you have done so many registration, what are some key things which miss out during registration? Of course, these are the checklist which is there. But apart from this, some practical aspects, if you can just highlight on those key, these are some key things you should remember while registering.
So, as I said, the key thing which I observed that major queries are received are on the legal documents like AFA, sale deed, and allotment letters draft. Because as Gujarat Era has prescribed the formats, and in which they are checking certain points, like this point should be there. But every advocate is not aware with that, or every promoter tries to modify the standard draft, and hence not a single file would be there, or hardly any file would be there where there is no document on the legal aspects. Second,
Understood.
on a finance part in a form 3, that working of the estimated and incurred and paid figures. So like that receipts and FSI installment letters, and how in a incurred and paid figures we need to give the every detail of every payment, as well as like if you are doing a project on in which TDR has been utilized, then that TDR agreement or TDR utilization and against what you have made the payment, that needs to be separately shown into the form 3, and along with that you need to submit that payment details or that TDR agreements. Now, being a chartered accountant, many people don't know what is TDR agreement or how that are executed and where they are utilized. So they don't provide it. Even many people don't know what is the FSI installment letter and how to bifurcate that FSI payment and other statutory payment from the same receipt. And they show it into the same head. Instead of bifurcating it into the FSI head given into the part A land cost and the statutory expense head given into the part B development cost.
So they combine it and show it as one payment.
Asks them to differentiate the same. Yes, what's it? Sorry.
Yeah. So they normally, whoever is doing it, they combine it and show it together.
Yeah. So then they are asked that okay, your figure is not matching or bifurcate into this and this. And then they again need to do the reworking and again. And what happens is here, technical issue what we are facing is you have issued particular certificate, you generated particular unit, and you submitted that. Now RERA asks you to clarify it or correct it. So again that certificate will be reopened. Now you will be resubmitting that certificate with the reworking, but the same unit will not be accepted by the system as it is already submitted. Okay. So you have to again regenerate that unit, cancel the older one, and again submit the same. So again it takes more time.
So it is unnecessary time delay which happens.
Yeah, because see, ultimately what happens is that UDN remains the same.
Yeah.
As system does not accept, I have to cancel the older one and again generate the new one. Apart from that, if any project is having a cost of more than 25 crores, along with this form 3, we also need to submit the means of finance. Now, means of finance sheet is generated only after you submit the form 3. Then you
Okay.
download it, you fill in the data and submit it. Now, if there is a query, like in the number of workings you mentioned wrong into the CA certificate, your every working is okay, but system will reopen the form 1, 2, 3 and means of finance again. And you have to redo that exercise again. Many times what will happen is you upload the proper document, but
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned the wrong area. Like जो covered area, open area of the project I mentioned wrong. So now system is such that that person needs to raise a query for the layout plan and commencement certificate both, mentioning that resubmit the same and correct your area. So you have to re-upload that documents again, even though you uploaded it properly. But as there's a query into the detail you submitted, you again have to submit the document related to that detail and correct the detail also.
Okay, so the whole process you have to do it all over again.
Yeah, so major time what happens is those who are not frequently acquainted with the system, they sees like yeah, he's saying that layout plan is not properly uploaded. My layout plan is completely visible. It's a 200 dpi or 800 dpi more of having a 90 MB 90 MB size. We are allowed to upload document. For each document we are given the 100 MB size. Now my 4 pages document is of 90 MB and it's completely visible. Why there's a query? Query because that system is such that that person cannot allow you to edit unless and until he raises query for this too.
Okay.
So you have to again like certain when you are fresher and you are doing it, you will find it tedious. Many people will do 1 or 2 registration, then they will think, yeah, this is completely data entry kind of a thing, or it's a tedious task. Let it outsource it to someone specialized, and I will look after only the licensing part. So, but sooner and gradually over a period, see, every registration is a new registration.
Yes, yes.
Every developer comes out with a new methodology of operating and working and data management and everything. So ultimately what happens is nothing if we cannot work on that methodology part, but we can definitely work on that understanding of the plans and commencement certificates and their details and data. So every time we don't need to go to the engineers and ask them. If we have that proficiency, because being a chartered accountant or a company secretary or a commerce background person, we will not be having that engineering kind of understanding of the plans. And if we need to work on the radar field, then at least a 50-60% understanding of that plans and commencement certificates and everything should be there. And that we can have from having the visits to certain engineers or asking them or understanding for 2-3 plans or doing 2-3 schemes, 4 schemes. Then you will automatically start having that understanding that this is happening and this is taken from the here and here, and that's how slowly and gradually we learn.
Yeah,
From
yeah, like you said, at least the first couple of registration, it will be difficult and tedious, but after you get the hang of it, it will become smoother and smoother.
yeah. So what happens is every system has a pros and cons.
Yes, yes.
Our Gujarat area system is such that everything is getting checked from the start. Like आपने start में you entered a total carpet area of the project 3,000 square meter. And when you upload a form 3 and total carpet area in the inventory sheet does not match 3,000 square meter, it will give you the error. So these small checks and maths are there so as to avoid the basic clerical errors. And it definitely helps. But what happens is, as it is somebody who's a fresher and having a pressure of uploading the file as soon as possible, because promoter is always on a standing note कि भाई मेरे को application करके receipt दो, I need to submit it further to the bank and whatever reasons they have. So at that time we don't have that patience to have that कि like नहीं अभी तो ऐसा है कि मेरे को कैसे भी डालना है एक बार, फिर क्वेरी आएगा तब देख लेंगे. तो उसमें क्या होता है, थोड़ा डायलेमा हो जाता है. Then how I will finish it as soon as possible and perfectly. That will slowly and gradually comes with the perfection only.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, मतलब वही है कि इनिशियली घाई घाई मत करो, इनिशियली स्लोली लेके बाद में फिर इफ यू अपलोड इट जस्ट फॉर द सेक ऑफ अपलोडिंग एंड देन क्वेरी आएगा, फिर डेवलपर योर क्लाइंट विल आल्सो बी बिहाइंड यू, देन अननेसेसरी प्रॉब्लम होएगा.
initially it will also lead to the waste of time na, that
बिल्कुल
you
बिल्कुल
whole working and again you have to sit and do the whole thing. And initially I would suggest that those who are gradually just starting and exploring the field, they can initially connect anyone who are already doing it for 2 3 files. They can work along with them and they can support have their support. Once 1 2 3 files are done, then they can do independently also. And see, there are kind of a different peoples. You will find some people who will who will, even if you are initiating, then will support professionally by having some fees, and some people will even support in a free of cost. So it's up to us, but you have to start initiate the things. Once you initiate, like it said na, once you start, it's a halfway done.
बिल्कुल
जो मान लो सिटी बिग सिटी नहीं है, मान लो वलसाड़, वापी, भरूच, ये जगह पे जो भी होता है ना, तो सर आर्किटेक्ट का फॉर्म, इंजीनियर का फॉर्म, वो सारी डिटेल्स वो भी बोल रहे कि भाई ये जो रेरा का काम करता है ना वो ही फिल कर देता है। उसके पास पार्किंग की डिटेल्स मांगेंगे तो भी बोलेगा कि भाई वो आप प्लान में से देख लो कि भाई कवर्ड पार्किंग, ओपन पार्किंग है, तो नंबर ऑफ व्हीकल्स वाली जो क्वेरी आ रही है अभी, अब उसके पास डिटेल्स मांगे तो वो अननेसेसरी 5 दिन 10 दिन डिले कर रहा है। और एक बार तो क्वेरी वैसे भी रेरा डिपार्टमेंट इश्यू करता ही है, तो सेफर साइड क्या करते हैं, कभी सर मान लो क्लाइंट को तो अर्जेंट ही होता है कि भाई जब आएगी तब देख लेंगे, तो एक टाइम में जो क्वेरी आती है तो उसके टाइम में वो एडजस्ट कर सकते हैं। लेकिन अब इसकी जगह पे क्या, आर्किटेक्ट और इंजीनियर्स, अब वो काम है, वो एक्चुअली उनका काम है सर्टिफिकेशन या फिर ये एक्टिविटी वाइज जो भी है, प्रोजेक्ट एंड कंस्ट्रक्शन एंड डेट, स्टार्ट डेट, तो वो सारे वो डिटेल्स वो कुछ नहीं देते, वो सभी जो भी रेरा कंसल्टेंट है उसको ही करना पड़ता है सर।
सर बट उसमें ऐसा है ना कि जैसे एक्टिविटी स्टार्ट डेट एंड डेट स्पेसिफिकली आपने बोला, तो वो तो सर कैसा है कि इवन आपका प्रमोटर प्लान करेगा कि मैं कब काम करवाने वाला हूँ कौन सा, इवन दैट आर्किटेक्ट इंजीनियर डज नॉट नोस। सेकेंड थिंग, पार्किंग के नंबर्स के लिए तो आप कोई भी आप एक इंजीनियर को जानते होंगे ना, तो आप उससे पूछ सकते हो कि स्टैंडर्ड डायमेंशन क्या है। हमारी प्रैक्टिस में बताता हूँ हम लोग क्या करते हैं। हमने एक स्टैंडर्ड डायमेंशन जान लिया है इंजीनियर से कि 4 व्हीलर के लिए इतना डायमेंशन जीडीसीआर में है और 2 व्हीलर के लिए इतना डायमेंशन जीडीसीआर में है। हम लोग पूरे जो प्लान में, हम लोग लेआउट प्लान में देख लेते हैं कि लेआउट के बाहर यानी कवर्ड एरिया के बाहर कहीं ओपन में तो पार्किंग नहीं दिया है ना, मेजरली कहीं नहीं दिया होता है क्योंकि वो मार्जिन एरिया होता है। तो मेजरली जैसे कि वहां पे ओपन पार्किंग तो 0 हो गया अगर नहीं दिया है तो सब कवर्ड हो गया। अब कवर्ड पार्किंग में जो पार्किंग एरिया अपने गुजरात में तो कॉमन जीडीसीआर के कारण है ना, सबके प्लान सेम ही बनते हैं। तो आपको जो पार्किंग टेबल मिलता है ना, टोटल पार्किंग एरिया, उसको आप उस डायमेंशन में 60-40 डिवाइड कर दो कि भाई 60% 4 व्हीलर के लिए गिन लो, 40% 2 व्हीलर के लिए गिन लो, और उस डायमेंशन से उसको डिवाइड कर दो कि जैसे 4,800 स्क्वायर मीटर पार्किंग में है, तो उसमें से 500 स्क्वायर मीटर को आप कार के लिए गिन लो, उसको 2 व्हीलर के लिए गिन लो, और आप उसको ऐसे 13 स्क्वायर मीटर कार के लिए गिनते हैं, 4 स्क्वायर मीटर 2 व्हीलर के लिए गिनते हैं। 500 को 13 से डिवाइड कर दो और 300 को 4 से डिवाइड कर दो और उतने नंबर्स दिखा दो। और उससे भी इजी आपको देता हूं, जितने यूनिट है ना उससे डबल 2 व्हीलर, और जितने यूनिट है उतने 4 व्हीलर। ये नॉर्मली हम मेजोरिटी जो सिटीज है, अहमदाबाद, बड़ौदा, सूरत जैसी बड़ी, उधर इतना पार्किंग नॉर्मली सब देते ही हैं। पर आप ऐसे डिवाइड करके भी करोगे ना जीडीसीआर में, उसके लिए 4 व्हीलर के लिए कितना, 2 व्हीलर के लिए कितना, उतना प्रिस्क्राइब्ड ही है। आप एक बार वो जान लोगे, उसको ऐसे डिवाइड करके आप वर्किंग कर लो। मेरा भी एग्जैक्ट टू एग्जैक्ट नंबर देखो, नंबर है ना, नंबर ऑफ व्हीकल्स है ना, प्लान में भी नहीं लिखा होता है, एरिया ही लिखा हुआ होता है।
यही लिखा होता है,
एरिया ही मेजर करता है, एरिया ही आपका मैच करेगा, नंबर्स मैच करेगा ही नहीं।
सर अगर आप प्रैक्टिकली बता सकते हो, अगर पॉसिबल हो, तो क्या ये चीज इश्यू आती है तो अगर कोई प्लान से अगर एक बार वेरीफाई करवा सकते हो कि भाई ये चीज इस तरह होती है।
तो श्रेयांश, यू कैन शेयर माय नंबर टू हिम।
Yes, yes, yes. नहीं, definitely after the session ना, I
Okay.
will share the number.
Yeah,
और सर
because
दूसरा एक इश्यू ये होता है, लैंड कॉस्ट में जो हम फॉर्म 3 में दिखाते हैं ना सर, वहां पे 3 इश्यू होती है, एज पर मार्केट वैल्यू, एज पर एग्रीमेंट वैल्यू और एज पर इंडेक्सेशन वैल्यू।
यस,
अब मान लो प्रमोटर्स ने लैंड परचेज की, मान लो 5 साल 6 साल पहले, अभी रिसेंटली गुजरात में डबल जंतरी हो चुकी है। अब एक्चुअली में क्या वो इनकम टैक्स पर्पज से सेट करने जाएंगे ना तो वो एडजस्ट होता है कंस्ट्रक्शन में।
हम्म।
प्रोजेक्ट लोन लेते वो लोग बोल रहे हैं कि भाई नेट प्रॉफिट 8% तो मिनिमम चाहिए, तो रेरा में वो एस्टिमेट उस हिसाब से सब सारे लोग करते हैं, जो भी रेरा कंसल्टेंट है ना वो। अब हम लोग वहां पे लैंड लैंड कॉस्ट जो है ना वो एज पर एग्रीमेंट वैल्यू ही ले रहे हैं।
हम्म।
मेरा डिपार्टमेंट बोल रहा है कि भाई सर्कुलर 11 के हिसाब से आपको उसकी मार्केट वैल्यू या फिर जो भी इंडेक्स वैल्यू है वो कंसिडर कर।
वो इंडेक्स वैल्यू और एग्रीमेंट वैल्यू 4 ऑप्शन है आपके पास।
हाँ, बट मुझे लैंड कॉस्ट एज पर एग्रीमेंट वैल्यू लेनी है, तो वो
हम्म।
लोग बोल रहे कि नहीं आपको इंडेक्स वैल्यू या मार्केट वैल्यू लेनी पड़ेगी।
नहीं, वो लोग कोई फोर्स नहीं करते हैं, आपका ऑप्शन है ना वो तो।
नहीं, वो लोग बोलते हैं सर।
नहीं सर,
अभी
मेरा।
रिसेंटली अगर आपके सेम ईयर में मान लो लैंड परचेस की है तो
हम्म।
कोई इश्यू नहीं, लेकिन मान लो 5-6 साल पहले जून पुरानी लैंड है तो वो लोग बोलते हैं कि भाई नहीं आपको जो भी ये इसमें से जो भी हाईएस्ट होगी वही लेनी पड़ेगी। अब उसके हिसाब से क्या
नहीं
करेंगे।
नहीं, मेरा वो तो मेरा कॉल है ना। मेरे को तो आज से मिसी मैंने बहुत सारे ऐसे, मैं भले अहमदाबाद बैठता हूँ बट मैंने अक्रॉस द गुजरात के 28 सिटी में प्रोजेक्ट किए हैं। और
हम्म।
वो तो भी रिमोट प्लेसेस में भी आया वर्कड अपॉन। और वहां पे बहुत सारे पुराने डीड्स होते हैं। बट हम लोग अग्रीमेंट वैल्यू ही लेते हैं, और उसका मैं आपको रीजन बताता हूँ मेरा लॉजिक क्या है। समझो मेरा अग्रीमेंट हुआ है, 5 साल पहले मैंने कोई लैंड परचेज किया है, और मेरे को उसका दो फिगर देना है, एस्टिमेट एंड इनकम एंड पेड। मेरा लैंड एग्रीमेंट 2 करोड़ रुपए का है। उसका आज का इंडेक्सेड कॉस्ट लेट्स से 2.5 करोड़ है। मैं एस्टिमेट में 2.5 करोड़ डाल दूंगा, लेकिन इनकम एंड पेड तो मेरा 2 करोड़ ही रहेगा, भले भले मैंने 5 साल पहले पे किया था। मैं
वो
इनकम
लोग
एंड पेड
बोल
में
रहे
टू
इनकम
पॉइंट
एंड
फाइव करोड़ कैसे सर्टिफाई करूंगा? बीइंग अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट, मैं 2.5 करोड़ इनकम एंड पेड कैसे सर्टिफाई करूंगा? क्योंकि पैसा तो बैंक अकाउंट में से 2 करोड़ ही गया है, और
मतलब
मैंने पे भी
ये
दो
क्या
करोड़
वो
ही किया है।
अगर अमाउंट विड्रॉ किसी प्रमोटर को ज्यादा चाहिए तो वो करने के लिए कि भाई आपने जो
बट
लैंड।
सर, आप अमाउंट विड्रॉ भी इनकम एंड पेड पे करते हो, तो आप मार्केट वैल्यू एस्टिमेट में तो दिखा दोगे, बट टेक्निकली इनकम एंड पेड तो आपका क्या हुआ है? अग्रीमेंट वैल्यू ही हुआ है। तो समझो रेरा का सर्कुलर है, मैं उसके लिए मना नहीं कर रहा हूं, बट फ्रॉम द प्रोफेशनल ओपिनियन, जो पैसा बैंक में से गया ही नहीं है उसको मैं इनकम एंड पेड कैसे बताऊंगा? तो मेरे पास दो ऑप्शन है, आइदर मैं रेरा का सर्कुलर मानूं, या प्रोफेशनली मैं डिसाइड करूं कि मैं जो बैंक में से नहीं गया उसको मैं नहीं बताऊंगा, मेरे लिए इनकम एंड पेड फिगर जो मैंने पे किया है वही है।
मतलब वो ऑप्शनल है, मुझे लैंड कॉस्ट एज पर एक्चुअल कॉस्ट एग्रीमेंट वैल्यू लेनी है तो रेरा
यस यस,
डिपार्टमेंट।
ऑप्शनल ही है सर, वो तो ड्रॉप डाउन बॉक्स में से अपने को ही सिलेक्ट करना होता है।
नहीं, बाद में क्वेरी आती है फाइनेंस में से कि भाई
तो
आप।
उसमें एक्चुअली ऐसा होगा कि लैंड कॉस्ट में आपका और कहीं पे कुछ बाइफर्केशन का मिस्टेक होगा, और उसको लैंड कॉस्ट की क्वेरी देनी होगी, इसके लिए उसको टैब वही सिलेक्ट करना पड़ता है। बाकी आप क्वेरी उसने उस पर्टिकुलर इश्यू के लिए नहीं निकाली होगी, आइदर वो एफएसआई का और नीचे स्टेट्यूटरी पेमेंट में बाइफर्केशन के लिए होगा, या स्टैम्प ड्यूटी का कुछ क्वेश्चन होगा इसके लिए होगा। बाकी ये फॉर श्योर है कि वो फोर्स नहीं करते कि आपको कौन सा लेना है। दैट्स अप टू अस।
ओके सर, थैंक
थैंक यू लोकेश सर। तौसीफ सर, आई विल डेफिनेटली, मैं आपका नंबर शेयर कर दूंगा। तो आपको डेफिनेटली कुछ और हेल्प चाहिए रहेगा ये मतलब इन टर्म्स ऑफ प्रैक्टिकल एस्पेक्ट, आप डेफिनेटली उनको रीच आउट कर सकते
श्योर श्योर।
हो। यस लोकेश सर।
सो अभी लाइक बहुत बार क्या होता है प्रैक्टिकली, जैसे मैंने जो लिस्ट आउट किए थे वो सारे पॉइंट्स तो ऐसे मैंने कवर कर दिए हैं, बट 1-2 पॉइंट्स ओनली रिमेन्स विच मैं देख लेता हूँ कि जब अगर आपका 7-12 में नाम अभी चढ़ा नहीं है,
बिल्कुल।
जैसे यहाँ पे क्या होता है कि दस्तावेज हो गया, फिर आपका एक कच्चा एंट्री पड़ता है काम नमूना 6 में, और वो कच्चा एंट्री हो गया है, बट आपका अभी पक्का एंट्री 7-12 में नाम नहीं चढ़ा है डेवलपर का, तो भी आप कच्चे एंट्री के बेस के ऊपर उसके साथ एक एफिडेविट करके एप्लीकेशन रेरा में कर सकते हो। पर आपको रेरा नंबर तो 7-12 में एंट्री हो जाएगा तभी मिलेगा। सो जो 45 ये कच्ची एंट्री से पक्की एंट्री के बीच में अगर कोई ऑब्जेक्शन या कोई कंप्लेन रेज नहीं होता है कलेक्टर में, तो आपका 45 डेज का स्टेट्यूटरी टाइमलाइन है। तो आप ये 45 डेज को यूटिलाइज कर सकते हो कि एप्लीकेशन करके उसमें जो भी क्वेरी आना है वो तब तक आ जाएगा। मीनवाइल साथ में 7-12 में भी एंट्री तब हो जाएगा, और फिर आप बाकी का क्वेरी सॉर्ट आउट करके और रजिस्ट्रेशन क्लेम कर सकते हो, सो दैट कैन सेव योर टाइम। देन इन केसेस ऑफ लाइक कोई रीडेवलपमेंट एग्रीमेंट है, जैसे सोसाइटी रीडेवलपमेंट एग्रीमेंट है, तो उस केस में आपको गिफ्ट मनी कितना देना है, पजेशन कब देना है, कौन से एग्जिस्टिंग मेंबर को नए में कौन सा यूनिट मिलना है, ये सारी चीजें स्पेसिफिकली वो सोसाइटी डेवलपमेंट एग्रीमेंट में मेंशन की हुई होनी चाहिए। डेवलपमेंट एग्रीमेंट में रजिस्टर्ड वाले में नहीं है और आप सिर्फ एक लेटर हेड पे अलग से लिख के दे दोगे तो रेरा विल आस्क यू टू इंक्लूड इट इन द डेवलपमेंट एग्रीमेंट इटसेल्फ। सो पहले से ही अगर होगा तो आपको पीछे से करेक्शन का इश्यू नहीं रहेगा।
सर उस केस में मान लो यहाँ पे मान लो पुरानी सोसाइटी है जिन्होंने मेंबर्स ने उसका सेल लीड रजिस्टर्ड ही नहीं करवाया, वो नोटराइज डॉक्यूमेंट पे हैंड ओवर कर दिया था, अगर वो केस मान लो रीडेवलपमेंट में जा रहा है तो रेरा डिपार्टमेंट उसको, क्योंकि वो सोसाइटी रजिस्टर्ड भी नहीं हो सकती क्योंकि उसका बीयू भी नहीं आया, विदाउट बीयू ही काम हुआ है, तो वो रेरा में वो रजिस्ट्रेशन करते हैं वो ऐसी सोसाइटी।
डेवलपमेंट एग्रीमेंट डेवलपमेंट एग्रीमेंट तो आपको सब रजिस्टर में से रजिस्टर करवाना पड़ेगा ना।
अभी तो करवा देंगे, नया तो करवा देंगे, लेकिन सर जो पुराने हैं वो मेंबर्स उन्होंने कभी सेल डीड रजिस्टर्ड ही नहीं करवाया।
हाँ बट उस केस में कैसा है कि आपको पता ही होगा कि एक अपना सर्कुलर है जो रेवेन्यू डिपार्टमेंट का, कि जो 1981 या 83 के पहले जो भी यूनिट्स ऐसे लिए गए हैं उसके बाद उन सब में आपको डिफरेंशियल स्टैम्प ड्यूटी भर के उसको रेगुलराइज करवा लेना है। वैसे उन लोगों को पहले रेगुलराइज करवाना पड़ेगा, फिर उनका डेवलपमेंट एग्रीमेंट भी रजिस्टर्ड हो जाएगा।
वो बिल्डर भी एग्रीड होना चाहिए ना वो दस्तावेज करने के लिए, अभी भी
दस्तावेज नहीं करने हैं ना सर, उसमें आपको बिल्डर की जरूरत ही नहीं है। उसमें सिर्फ डिपार्टमेंट का क्या सर्कुलर है कि उस केसेस में जो भी 1983 के बाद सोसाइटीज बनी है उन केसेस में अगर आपका पावर ऑफ अटर्नी वाला या नोटराइज्ड एग्रीमेंट्स और ऐसा सब है तो आप उसके ऊपर ये पर्टिकुलर टू दिस सर्कुलर के अंतर्गत आप एप्लीकेशन करके स्टैम्प ड्यूटी भर दीजिए, यानी आपका दस्तावेज रजिस्टर्ड एज गुड एज रजिस्टर्ड ही हो गया, क्योंकि डिपार्टमेंट को तो उसकी स्टैम्प ड्यूटी मिल गई। सो आपको उसमें उस पुराने बिल्डर की जरूरत भी नहीं है, और अब तो वो बिल्डर भी एग्जिस्टिंग होगा कि नहीं होगा नाम जाने।
हाँ मतलब वो, और सोसाइटी रजिस्टर्ड नहीं की है अभी तक, सोसाइटी भी
वो ठीक है, वो तो फिर क्या है कि इंडिविजुअल जो मेंबर्स हैं 20 मेंबर जैसे हैं, जैसे कि 20 मेंबर इंडिविजुअल है तो इंडिविजुअली रीडेवलपमेंट एग्रीमेंट जो होगा उसमें 20 जन एक साइड और एक साइड डेवलपर, वैसा एग्रीमेंट हो जाएगा। वो तो रीडेवलपमेंट एग्रीमेंट सोसाइटी बनी है तो सोसाइटी के चेयरमैन सेक्रेटरी को पावर देके वैसे एग्जीक्यूट हो जाएगा, या फिर इंडिविजुअली सारे मेंबर्स ज्वाइंटली कर लेंगे उसके वो रीडेवलपमेंट एग्रीमेंट, वो तो उस हिसाब से हो सकता है।
ओके सर।
फिर अगर आपने कोई रेरा रजिस्ट्रेशन में प्रोजेक्ट एंट्री कर रहे हैं और एक वो सिंगल ब्लॉक का प्रोजेक्ट है तो ब्लॉक का नेम ए देके, कैपिटल ए देके अपने को ब्लॉक नेम दे देना है, क्योंकि रेरा ने अभी स्टार्ट कर दिया। आपने पहले कोई 1 लिखता था, कोई सिंगल लिखता था, तो अभी रेरा ने यूनिफॉर्म कर दिया है, वरना उसके लिए भी सारा चेंज करने के लिए वो लोग वेरी करते हैं। और अगर आपके प्लान्स में जो अप्रूव प्लान्स है उसमें ड्रेनेज कनेक्शंस और कारपेट एरिया टेबल नहीं दिखाया गया है तो then additionally we have to prepare the plans with the drainage and the carpet area tables, and that needs to be stamped by the engineer and promoter, and along with the approved plans we also need to upload that too। उसमें फिर अथॉरिटी का स्टैम्प नहीं चाहिए, अप्रूवल अथॉरिटी का, बट इंजीनियर और प्रमोटर की साइन स्टैम्प के साथ वो प्लान्स हमें सबमिट करने होते हैं। तो रेस्ट ऑफ द पॉइंट्स तो आई ऑलरेडी कवर्ड अपॉन। So any queries we can take on up.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So that if in case you all have any practical queries, you all can definitely ask, sir. Anirudh, sir, you had some query?
So the basic thing was that I wanted to know whether in Gujarat you have the 3 desks which are there in Maharashtra, or and secondly, how much time does it take? In the act, it is specifically mentioned that 30 days is there. So whether 30 days from the date of filing for registration, or when an issue arises, when do we start that 30 days from?
So in Gujarat, actually everything is online, but we have a centralized office at the Gandhinagar only. We don't have a regional offices or any desks or a helpline or something kind of thing. It's a centralized only a single office at the Gandhinagar. And once you do the application, we need to send the physical file also, which can be sent through courier and everything. But after that, once the queries comes, we need to upload the rectified documents in the online mode only. Then we don't need to do courier and again and again. And in agent applications, we don't even need to give the physical file. But in a registration, yes, we need to give the extension, alteration, registration, we need to submit the physical files yet, which I think should be done away with, because already everything is done online only. Documents are verified in online mode only, but still they are asking for physical file yet. And second, on a 30 days part, so what law says is that within 30 days registration is granted. It's not that. What law says that if no communication is received within 30 days, then it's a deemed registration. But in system, what happens is they give you the query within 15 to 20 days.
Yes.
So that 30 days timeline is never met. And in Gujarat era, what has happened is they once you upload, you get the once you make the payment, you get the acknowledgement number. Within 15-20 days, you will receive the query, and then system itself every week drops a reminder mail to submit the queries and ensure the compliances.
Okay.
So that 30 days timeline will never meet.
Like, but on a rough basis, like how much time on an average, if all the documents are proper, there is no query, then on an average, how much time does it take for a registration?
So normally what happens is we receive queries around 15 to 20 days. If there's a no query, then file shall move further. So normally if there's a no query, it will take 15 to 20 days. If there's a query, then it's like 20 to 30 days to 45 days or 60 days. It's then up to the promoter then when you will resolve that query. And in many times when freshers don't, if files are done by the freshers or someone who is not acquainted with, then it may take 2-3 months also. And many times what happens is like once a file is inverted, later on any technical issue comes to the knowledge, which is not seen before, that a land area is not as proportionate to the FSI utilized. Like my land sale deed is of 6,000 square meter and FSI utilized is 6,400 square meter. Then in such cases, promoter need to again go to the execute that 400 square meters land deed and everything, and then it takes more time. So normally 15 to 20 days if it goes to in a one shot. Otherwise, it definitely takes and depends on us. Normally, a good consultant can close it within 30 to 45 days.
So it was a very interactive session also, as well as informative session also. So I just want to give a vote of thanks to Lokesh sir, for taking out time and guiding all the people here, because practical aspects is also very important in terms of any RERA registration as such. So thank you so much for taking out time and educating everyone.
Thank you. Pleasure is always mine. Always
Yes.
there.
Yes, definitely. And with this, I conclude today's session. Thank you so much, all the participants also for joining. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.